Hi third graders, in today's lesson we will be learning how to write hundredths using common and decimal fraction. Before we get started, why don't you grab lesson worksheet 131 and a pencil. Okay, we'll get started by reviewing tenths as common decimals and as fractions. Okay, so here I took a square and I divided it into 10 equal pieces, and each one of these pieces is equal to 1/10. Okay, let's say that we have 3 columns shaded here in this square. Okay, so we can describe that as 3/10 like that. That is our fraction. And we can also write it as a decimal by writing 0 because we don't have any whole numbers. Decimal point 3. Okay, so that's with tenths. We read that number as 3/10. Okay, so now let's go to this one, what we're working on today. And this is the same size square as the one before, but now instead of dividing it into 10 pieces, we have divided it into 100 pieces. Okay, so each one of these pieces, we would say, is equal to 1/100. Okay. And we've kind of have written numbers like this when we practiced writing checks already this year. So we've practiced writing fractions like this already this year. So right now I have 1/100th shaded here. Okay, so if I want to write that as a fraction, I write 1/100th, and it's totally okay to write a 0 in front of that so that I know that I have 0 full rows and I have 1 shaded here. So that's a fraction. To write this as a decimal, we are going to write this like money amounts with pennies and dimes. Okay, we've been practicing writing decimals with pennies and dimes for quite a while now, so it should look familiar to you. There are 100 pennies and $1. Well, when we were writing that, let's say I had $1.15, I write it like this. Okay. Well, here I can write this. This would be like having 1 penny out of $1. So I would write 0, decimal point, 0, 1. Okay, and that's why I wanted to write 0, 1 on top of this fraction. Okay, next let's take a look at this one here, and I will show you how to identify the fraction for this and the decimal for this. So first thing I'm looking at, we have 2 full columns, and in those full columns we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 cubes. Okay, so I know that every full column is worth 10, so this would be 10, this would be 20, and then I can count how many are shaded here. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay, so if I want to write this as a fraction, well, again, we have how many total? We had 100 total squares, and then 25 of them are shaded. Now for the decimal, we don't have any. If we had a whole one of these, then we would write 1, but we don't, so we'll write 0, decimal point, and then 25. Okay. So we read this as 25 hundredths, and this we read the same exact way, 25 hundredths. Alright, let's move on to lesson worksheet 131. There are 6 examples. You can do these with me. We'll take a look here at the first one. So I want to write a fraction and I want to write a decimal. So I'm going to put a fraction bar there, and I'm also going to put a decimal point here. So right now it might be hard to see on my screen, but on your paper we have these shaded right here. Okay? So I'm trying to figure out how many out of 100 are shaded. Well, I have 1 full row, 2 full rows, 3 full rows, 4 full rows, and then 1, 2, 3. So I would have, there's 100 total pieces, and out of that there are 43 that are shaded. So we read that as 43 hundredths. Next to that we'll write the decimal. We don't have any whole numbers, so we'll put 0 there. And then we'll write this number, whatever the top shaded part is, we'll write that next, and that would be 43. Let's go take a look at number 2 next. Again, it might be kind of hard to see, so I'll put an outline around it. We have that many shaded right there. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 that are shaded. Okay, just like if we were writing this on a check, I would suggest writing a 0 before this because we have 0 full rows of 10. And then I want us to write 7. Okay? And then on the bottom we have 100 total pieces. We read that as 7 hundredths. Then let's go, we have 0 squares of 100 that are filled up. We had 7 that were shaded. Now this is why I wanted the 0 here, because we need a 0 here like we have 0 dimes. We don't have a full row of 10, so we need a 0 there. So, and then we can write the 7. I'll show you if you went like this, 0.7, if you went 0.7 or 7/10, what that is saying here is that I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 full rows shaded. So this is what we are looking for here. We are looking for 7 hundredths, not 7/10. So it's very important that we have that 0 there because that changes the answer quite a bit. Next we'll take a look at number 3. I'll outline it here so you can see it better on my screen. So again, we have 100 squares. We need a fraction bar, we need a decimal point. Let's count how many full rows I have, and those are 10 at a time. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 full rows. That would mean we would have 60 squares that are shaded. There were 100 total. On top of the fraction bar, we can write the number 60. For the decimal, we want to write that we have 0 whole squares that are shaded, and then we have 60. So we read that as 60 hundredths. Both ways is 60 hundredths. It's the exact same number, but it's 2 different ways to write it. Number 4, you need to shade 35 hundredths. Well, they gave us the decimal. What would be the fraction for that? That would be 35 over 100. Now we need to shade this down here to show this. So the first number, the 3, tells us how many full rows I need to shade in. Well, I need to shade in 3 of those. So 1, 2, 3, and then I need the second number, tells me how many of the next row to shade in. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there's how you show 35 hundredths. And for the last 2 examples of today's lesson, we have 9 hundredths, and then we have 52 hundredths. So here's the decimal. We need to write it as a fraction. Well, again, it's out of 100, and whatever's here as the decimal, I'm going to just move that up here and write that above the fraction bar. So 9 hundredths. Well, this time I have 0 full rows of 10, and then the second one I would have 9 small squares. So let's go ahead and shade in 9 of those. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So there you have 9 hundredths. And I'll go to number 6 next. Number 6 says 52 hundredths. I need to write the fraction. So we have 100 total pieces. And then here we have 52 hundredths. So there's the fraction. We should shade in 5 full rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I have 2 more of the next row that I need to shade in, so 1 and 2. And there is how you show 52 hundredths. Now, as you're shading these, you can shade them a little bit better than I did. I was just doing that as quick as I could. Okay, so that's going to wrap up today's video. We're getting down to the last few videos of the year. We should be on the last week of school where we're actually learning. So if you have more questions, please let me know, and I'll be here ready to help you out. Good luck on writing decimals and fractions using hundredths. I'll catch you on the next video. See you later.